You have a different personality when you do a podcast.
No, but just
Hello, this is me,
Hey,
Ethos.
what's up, guys?
Welcome to the podcast.
Hey guys, it's me, Ethos. Welcome to the podcast. We're having a fun time here. No.
You're just some black market dealer guy.
Welcome to the podcast. What do you need, punk?
Welcome to my podcast.
Yeah.
Do you want any skooma or like space drugs? I got space drugs.
Do you want some spice?
With the spice?
Spice?
Oh, all right. Well, welcome everybody to the Flip and Burn podcast. It's been a while since we've done one of these episodes. Sorry about the big gap between this episode and last. A couple announcements off the top. We are now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you want to subscribe there and just listen in if you're in the car or something like that. And of course, we will continue to post our YouTube videos. Following this episode, I will be releasing our episodes that have been released on YouTube onto Spotify. So if you want to go back through the catalog and hear what we've talked about previously, we can get into it. But I do not want to waste your time too long here with these intros and et cetera, because we've got a really fun one, an interesting sort of different thing. Mostly we talk about Star Citizen. This time we're going to be talking about Wildgate, which is a game that me and my guests have been playing a lot lately, and we've been having a great time with it. And speaking of guests, my guest today here is Mr. Little Bits, the Bitmeister General. The master of the bits, whatever it is. We always, when we're playing space games, he's Star Bits. When we're playing Dune Awakening, he's Sand Bits, etc.
I'm Shady Bits.
Shady Bits, that's right.
Bits.
I'm so sorry, Bits.
Excuse me. Do your homework.
I know. I just didn't do any research off the top. That's like such a bad host. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. I'll forgive you.
And for Wildgate, I think we're gonna have to go with Wild Bits. What do you think?
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, yeah. Who's going to be mad about being called Wild Bits,
I don't fucking, maybe I don't want to be wild. Maybe I want to be just a normal
bits. Is that your ultimate form? Are we eventually, years down the line
bits.
when you've got your kids
normal
and your wife?
Guy.
Yeah, normal bits.
Normally sized bits.
Yeah. So let's get into sort of this. So your first question might, of course, be, what is Wildgate? So, there hasn't been a lot of talk about this game, which I think is kind of surprising, particularly for people in the Star Citizen community, because I feel like this is a game that if you like Star Citizen, you're going to have a lot of fun with Wildgate. So just kind of a general overview. Wildgate is sort of like a combination between like a hero competitive shooter and Sea of Thieves, but it's set in space. So it's got kind of a fun, Sunday morning cartoons space art style, and it's a lot of great times there. And you have 5 teams that kind of come into a match, each with their own ship. And then they go through PvE locations to get loot, and then they use that loot to kill each other or to collect an artifact, which lets you escape the map once the titular Wildgate opens. So it's a lot of fun. It combines a lot of different elements. And like I said, it's like space combat that you can get into right off the bat. So Bits and I have been playing a lot of this game, and we've been having a real blast with it. What have you thought so far of the game, Bits?
It's pretty fun. I feel like it's Hunt Showdown, but in space.
Yeah, I think,
and with the colorful characters instead of ugly cowboys.
Ugly cowboys with single fire weapons and a sort of a Victorian horror eldritch sort of mess. Yeah, it definitely has.
It's the Disney version. Disney version.
Well, actually, this game was made by ex-Blizzard devs. So Moonshot Games is a development company, and the company over them was originally a Blizzard dev who left in that whole Overwatch period where there was a lot of controversy, and the game was starting to have a lot of issues come up, and so he moved away, and then he hired developers to work on games like Wildgate. So you can really see that influence. It's kind of stylized in a similar way. The characters similar, they're fun, they're enjoyable. The dialogue is well done, and the world is very well crafted, and you get that sense as soon as you pop in. So. It kind of comes from that, we used to say Blizzard polish. I think that Wildgate really has that Blizzard polish.
I think so too.
I would say that this game is just, there's a lot of games out there that are like, oh, we've got like this, and this. And I would just say, like, honestly, give this one a shot because it is just fun. Like, you hop in, and even if you're getting your ass kicked, you're having a great time while your ass is getting kicked because all the components are really simple. But when they come together, it comes together in this really cool picture. So, Bits, like, what do you think? Like, how was your first experience with this game?
Stressful,
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. I skipped the tutorial completely. I just went in dry.
Oh my god,
without any knowledge. So yeah, it was stressful.
Yeah,
but I had fun.
It's
easy to learn.
It's easy to learn, and really, like, that Sea of Thieves comparison, I think, is going to be critical for what is this game about. You start off in the match, and the first thing you see is a POI that they drop you next to. Which is like a PvE challenge. It's a puzzle. Usually you're also shooting some guys. And then you run through that challenge. It's like a mini quest line that you do. And then at the end, they open a loot room for you. And inside you have weapons and upgrades that you can then apply to your ship, which you install yourself. So you basically get to customize your ship every game, which is a lot of fun. And then there's that randomness element that you see with Battle Royales like Apex. Like, oh, we got a good roll this time. That I think adds like another element of, keeps every match very fresh because you get different equipment and you have to come up with different approaches to, how you're going to move through that game. And so you have to do that. You're also collecting resources. You have to collect ice and fuel. And those help you. The fuel is for your boosters, which is kind of critical in combat. And then the ice is for healing the ship. You can heal the ship for 10 HP every 30 seconds. So in the midst of a fight,
20.
Is it every 20 seconds?
And I think it's 20 HP.
Is it?
Every like 30 seconds ish.
I thought 20 was the super ice. Is it not? Or am I mistaken?
Super ice?
Yeah, you can get like the super ice that gives you more ice or more health from the ice.
I have no idea about that actually. Oh, never mind. Fucking, I'll have to check that out. Maybe I'm wrong.
We might both be just wrong.
I have more hours in the game, but apparently I don't know shit.
We used it one match and it was critical. So I think one thing that's really cool about this game, just to sort of sell it to you folks who are listening here, is the combination of the different elements, they all flow really well together. So you start in that PvE, the PvE becomes the resource gathering, which becomes the PvP. And that doesn't have to be like the same course every time, right? So for example, if you're in combat, you might do a flyby of an asteroid and collect some resources while it's going on. Because if you're doing these fights right, they can often be quite long. So it's, if you're in a chase, or if you see like a POI and someone's good at, shooting enemies, you can send one guy out there to, run that dungeon while you're, trying to keep the ship together. Or, anything like that. So, it just has like a really smooth flow. All these component pieces of this game are just really well thought out. And, I'm just surprised that there's not that many people that are talking about this one right now. Because I promise you, if you get into this one, you're going to have a great time. If you like, games like Sea of Thieves and Star Citizen, where you have that crew-based gameplay.
I think it's weird that they're not advertising the game enough.
Yeah, they aren't doing that super, super well. I mean, it took, I play a lot of video games. I play a lot of sci-fi video games. I play pretty much every sci-fi video game I can find. And even Bits had to show me this game. Like, I saw it once out of the corner of my eye. And then Bits is the one who actually brought me into this one. So it really just speaks to how they haven't done a lot to advertise this one to people who might be interested, because I think there's a lot of people who would, hop into this game. A lot of Star Citizen fans are excited about Jump Ship. This works like Jump Ship. The art style is different, but it's, the same concept of a game.
I think both Overwatch fans and like Star Citizen fans would like this game.
Absolutely. Yeah, they would 100%, because the Overwatch, you like that hero shooter element. This is an arena shooter. It's got the excitement, but there's like these other elements that are just a lot of fun. So, if you're an Overwatch fan and you're into that sci-fi sort of style, this game is, if anything, just like a little spice on your usual Overwatch experience, And if you're a Star Citizen fan, obviously this is the gameplay we're hoping to get. It's got like engineering. You've got to repair the ship. You got to keep it together. You got like, fires to keep stuff together. You're fighting other ships. You're flying ships through space, and you're boarding these enemy ships to kind of take them out and, deal with them. The only way to actually kill an enemy team is to kill their ship. So they will respawn endlessly until you actually take that ship out. So when it comes to PvP, the main goal is to disable that ship, and whether you do that through boarding or shooting or anything like that, that's kind of the flow of it. Bits, like, how have you been seeing that kind of thing as well? Like you as a Star Citizen player, has this been something that's really gelling?
Dude, I have not played enough Star Citizen to be in any way expert on that game.
Well, you've certainly played with us, but the lag always gets you, right? That's always been the big problem.
I have been teleported through walls and ships several times because of the lag. Yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't have any of those issues. Wildgate it's a simple experience, and it's not nearly going to be as in-depth.
Simple but polished.
Exactly.
That's what I would call it.
Yeah, it's simple and polished. It's like this is a shiny diamond of a game that just came out. I've not encountered a single bug. Have you?
No, but the game crashes on me sometimes, which locks me out. But it's not a big thing. It doesn't really happen too often.
That's true, actually. I forgot about that. You did have those crashing issues, so maybe scratch that. It does have a couple bugs. I did have one where the server shut down for like 30 minutes when I was trying to play, but they came back pretty swiftly. It was weird. We could get into the lobby, but we couldn't launch into the game, so it was very odd. So a couple things like that.
It is impressive. The amount. It doesn't have a lot of bugs, and they don't happen too often at all. And the game just came out. I feel like it's impressive that they got all the bugs fixes before they released.
Yes, absolutely.
Most people don't fix them.
Yeah, they release a game that's broken, and then they're like, we'll fix it later, which is just
we'll fix it at launch.
Yeah, I mean, this game and particularly impressive. This is the first game that's come out of Moonshot. So this is their debut onto the scene. They hit the scene with a game that I think compares in level of polish, quality, and, replayability to the likes of Overwatch or any of the big kind of competitive shooters in the industry right now. So, I mean, and the fact that they had that on launch day, the content's a little slim, but the product that they delivered has so much to learn, like such a high skill ceiling, as well as an easy way to get into the game, and it's just really well thought out. It's a lot of fun. All the animations look amazing. It plays really well, and there's a lot of good quality of life. One feature I'll mention particularly there is the teleport. So basically, every character in the game can press C on the keyboard to teleport back to the ship wherever they are on the map. So they could be, 2 kilometers away and still be able to get back to the ship instantly. So if you're out collecting resources or loot or stealing something from an enemy ship, as soon as you steal that thing, you can be gone and back to your ship, which I think just really helps mesh the PvE and PvP elements together, and really keeps things centered around that vessel, because that is like such a critical component of the game. So what do you think, Bits, about that?
Say that again. Repeat that.
Well, so like the teleport feature being a way
it's very good.
Yeah,
it keeps the game less monotonous, less running around and doing the boring shit. You can just go back to the ship, collect stuff, and then go out and do more stuff, like when you collect resources like the ice for repairing and the fuel for the engines. Much easier to do when you can simply teleport back to the ship with the resources you just collected. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, sorry. Let's keep...
No, you're good. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was just gonna agree. I do that. I'm highly autistic.
We're both two autistic people trying to have a normal conversation across.
Yeah, it's in hard mode.
Yeah, it's hard mode because you're also across the world from me right now. It's so
actually, yeah.
So there's even a latency delay that we're dealing with. So apologies, folks, and thank you for sticking with us as we figure this one out. But yes, so like that I think is such a component that helps really, grease the wheels. There's a lot of quality of life like that. Like this is not a hardcore game. There's like oxygen mechanics and that kind of thing. And the time to kill is wicked short. So you kind of have to be, fast or, thinking on your feet, to make sure that you're not getting, caught off guard. Because if you are caught off guard, you're dead. But other than that, like, the game provides a lot of things that really smooth out the gameplay experience. Where Star Citizen, you'd break a rock, you'd have to collect the rocks that you then broke, usually one at a time, and then fly back to the place where you can sell them. This game takes a lot of that friction out, which is for this game a good thing, because Wildgate is about that sort of fast-paced thing. All the individual pieces are so simple, but when they come together and you're in that fight and you're trying to think about how do we handle this and what are the right decisions to make, it gets really crazy. It really needs that, like, everything being so straightforward, so that when everything's happening all at once all the time, you can like multitask and swap between these different things and try to keep things together, to the best of your ability, which is sweet. That seems like that's the skill cap for the game that I'm still struggling with, which is like when I sit in a turret to, shoot an enemy ship, I'm usually too focused on that. But when that turret's reloading, I could be running around putting out fires. I could be looking for borders to fend off. Yeah. I could be hitting ice or anything like that. So just like, you got
to learn to multitask. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And knowing when that reload's going to end, like how much time do I have? Like all that stuff, like to help you, maximize and leverage your your potential as far as like keeping the ship together, or going out to the enemy ship and dealing a critical blow to them. So it is it's one of those things that when it all comes together, it feels really, really fun. But we've got Star Citizen people here, so I think what we want to talk about, or at least something we want to hit here in particular, is ship combat. I know you've been flying a lot, Bits. Tell me what's been your experience with that, because I haven't had as much time in the cockpit.
I've been enjoying flying. It is different flying from other space games like Star Citizen. It is like a Sea of Thieves with flying. Mm-hmm. It's like flying a boat.
Yeah.
You don't control where the heading is with the mouse. You control it with WASD.
Yes.
And you have just a giant wheel that you pull and deal with instead of a joystick. It's just ships in space.
Mm-hmm. They're big boats. They don't really fly very fast. You're not pulling any fighter moves here, but you are dealing with positional combat. Like, how close do you want this fight to be based off of, what weapons or guns do we have? Like, if we've got short range shotgun scatter cannons, then we're going to want to be up close and, really getting in there and dealing damage. If we've got macro cannons and snipers, the macro cannons are like a slow firing projectile that takes a while to get there, but when it hits, the longer the distance is, the harder it hits. So if you've got something like that, you're going to want to maintain your distance from the enemy. And so that's the kind of things you're thinking about in the piloting chair. The other thing to note about that is that even if you're a pilot, you're probably not going to be on the sticks all the time, constantly flying, right? Because when you hit a turn, so like, let's say you want to go full right and you hop off the seat, the ship is going to continue to go full right. So you can hop off. You're like, okay, we're going straight. There's nothing in the way. And this is where we want to go. I'm going to hop off real quick and run around and make sure the ship is okay, repair things, or, do something like that, or switch out a gun or anything, or fend off a border. So, that once again contributes to that multitasking element of the game, which is the ship combat is nowhere near as complicated as, something like Star Citizen with full 8 degrees of freedom. You really only have 4 directions of movement. And then forward back, so 6, I guess. But when you put that together with there's a guy coming to shoot my face off, or I'm literally burning because there's a fire right at my feet, or they broke my cockpit glass, that adds that element to it. And you wouldn't really want it to be any more complicated. For the game, the way it works really well, and when you get good at it, it really does feel satisfying to nail those maneuvers, and like you got that good position on that enemy ship. Going under or over them, they're very vulnerable because they can't shoot you when you're on top of them. So stuff like that is just feels really good and very rewarding if you make those right choices.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would say that, like, if you're a dog fighter in Star Citizen, this kind of piloting style might not be your thing. I haven't done it too much because of that. I'm much more like, I like a shooty, fast paced sort of flying thing. I don't really fly big ships in Star Citizen either, because it's just not sort of what I'm into. But if you like that sort of captain role, this game does a good job of kind of providing that role playing experience, and that that role that you can fill for your team.
I agree.
So ships, I guess, since there's so much this game, we might want to go, component by component. So FPS being I think the next on our list, whether that's PvE or PvP, the gunplay feels really good in my eyes. Feels really polished, feels, punchy. The quick time to kill is very exciting sometimes. And when you land those shots, it feels excellent. And they give you a lot of gadgets and tools that you can use to customize your loadout on how you're engaging and whether you're boarding or defending. I think both are really interesting experiences in that space, because the foundations of the FPS are super solid. It does play a lot like Overwatch in that regard, as far as like how your movement and guns. You do get a sprint though, so that is different than Overwatch. But the same thing of like, you can aim down sights, but your hip fire is pretty much dead on target. All the guns are interesting. They've got a lot of cool weaponry to choose from. Bits of you felt that, like when you're playing with the guns, like do you feel that sort of same thing, or have you had trouble with it?
With the games being like Overwatch.
Oh, just
with the guns. I mean,
yeah, how the gunplay feels.
It is very much like Overwatch in a lot of places with the guns, but I don't know. It's also different. It's hard to explain. With the combat being faster and the time to kill being faster, of course the guns and the projectiles are going to be faster too.
Mm-hmm.
Like there isn't just what's the rocket lady's name in Overwatch?
Farah, yeah.
I forgot her name. Farah, yeah. Her rocket used to be like super slow, I remember. And there aren't that kind of slow weapons in the game. You know that shotgun you keep liking?
Yeah.
That I called a siege weapon or something. That is the slowest weapon in the game, and that's still pretty quick. So yeah, the guns are pretty much like Overwatch, but much faster. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to seeing the other guns that they're gonna put in the game in the future.
And just a clarifying note there too. So, when you're in Overwatch, you have a fixed loadout. With this game, you choose your character, you choose your loadout, you choose what weapons you're bringing to that fight, you choose what ship you're bringing to that fight. So there's more, the character is less, determined by a weapon, but rather abilities that they can use to build around certain weapons. And yes, there's like, for Moths, you might want to have a different weapon he's like a flying bird border guy. You might want to have a lot of close range stuff because you're going to get in there and, you're going to want to deal a lot of damage very quickly so that they don't catch on. But for like if you're defending a ship, like if you're a Sal or like a Samo, you might want something long range so you can ping people who are approaching your ship. Like if you see them out the window, you can shoot them before they even get there. So those kinds of decisions are the ones that you're making. And there's certainly not nearly as much healing as you get in Overwatch. There's one healing weapon, and it's great for PvE, but it's not super useful for PvP typically because that time to kill is so fast. Like you really can't save someone's life with the healing gun in the way that you can with Overwatch, which is like, you look at them and you click and they're basically invulnerable for a bit. It takes them a lot longer to chunk down their health. With this game, that's, the healing has other uses. It doesn't fit in that same sort of, the main MMO, damage dealers and etc. Instead, the game's more split into attackers and defenders as sort of like a duality. So whether you're either you're boarding or you're on the ship fending off boarders and, trying to keep the ship together, engineering and that kind of thing, which, is a lot of fun. So there are definitely differences, but I think just like when I make a comparison to Overwatch, definitely talking more about like the way the guns feel, not necessarily how they play in the gameplay loop, because I think they just did a fantastic job. Like weapons, whether they're ship weapons or FPS weapons, they all feel really powerful. They feel really fun to use. I haven't had one where I'm like, I have to use the scatter gun. No, like it might not be the best weapon, but when you land the shot and you look at all those pellets hit the enemy ship, it's very cool. And you hear all the hit markers. They just did a good job with all that. We hit kind of the PvE to some extent, but maybe we dive a little deeper into the PvE of this game, which is such a critical component of it. I think you get a lot of instant, this is why you're going to have fun day one, is because, the PvE feels good too. Shooting there's enough varied enemies that it feels interesting. You get all these interesting challenges. You know, the puzzles are pretty straightforward, but each time it feels like you're in a different place with a different thing. It really sells that illusion of, you know, being this space explorer on the edge of dangerous space territory, and, you know, experiencing new horrors and wonders. I feel like that has been really good. It feels like I said, the gameplay's solid. So fighting, whether it's PvE or PvP, it feels fun. You know, I'm not bored when I'm, you know, just working my way through a dungeon.
The good thing about the dungeons is that they have such varied enemies and objectives. You do so far, at least.
Yeah, there's. I feel like I'm like 40 hours into the game now, something like that. And even still, I haven't seen every single dungeon that they have on offer on launch day, and I know they plan on adding more. So that is, I think, really cool. So, you know, just having that variability and, you know, feeling like you're being that explorer on the edge of space, it captures an element that you get in Star Citizen 2, which is that you know, you're going out into these vast reaches. The map is not nearly as big as Star Citizen's map. Obviously, it's contained, but there's a lot to do in that space, and it's just big enough for, you know, the 5 teams, right? I wouldn't want it to be really any bigger, because you can already go a whole game without encountering an enemy. You know, just pick up the artifact and jet straight for the Wildgate. How have you felt about the community who's playing this game so far? What's been your experience there?
Mostly good.
Mostly good.
But there's very good communication in the game with the VoIP, the voice. But not everyone is so welcome to talking or suggestions on what to do. Some people are really stubborn on what the team should do.
Yes.
Like, you know, how we should not ram the enemy when we have 10 health.
Yeah, or like going at a laser ram, which is, by the way, one of the most powerful weapons in the game. Sometimes people just decide they want to fly straight for that and be like, let's just take that damage. We can out damage them with our basic cannons on the front. Which is like, yeah, I mean, there's definitely moments like that, but you get that with every game too, right? Like, and I think, you know, games like Overwatch do have a real voice comm problem. Nobody talks in that game, but I felt like most of the time when I've been like, hey, anyone got a mic? There's at least 1 or 2 people that do have a mic, and then the rest of the people are usually listening. It's rare that, I mean, sometimes you do encounter people who have the mic off completely, but most people are receptive to, you know, having that element. I think it's, you know, you're talking about a 4-man crew against 4 other 4-man crews. So you having that vocal communication is really critical. Like, you know, making sure that you're not stepping on each other's toes, that you're unified in how you're approaching something, you know, makes a big difference. And I think really adds a lot of enjoyment to the game if you can, rather than, you know, just going solo and really not talking to anyone. I think that part of it is being that feeling of being a part of the crew.
Although most often the pilot is the one who decides what to do.
Yeah, usually people will, like, even if the pilot doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah, you can't even kick someone off the helm.
What?
So once someone has the helm, they're the one who's driving your lifeblood.
I've been kicked off the helm before. This happened to me a couple times. Yeah, like some.
Maybe the game doesn't like you driving.
It doesn't.
It's never kicked me off.
People, yeah, like I think people can just step into it if you're in there.
Really?
I think they can, if I'm not mistaken, because I have been replaced. Just totally replaced. They're like, all right.
I've never been replaced. Maybe I'm that good of a pilot that people never replace me.
Bits, you are really good as a pilot, so it could be that. I am not. I've crashed into too many asteroids, and I've flown through fire fields without fire barriers. So I think it was definitely deserved on my part as far as kicking me out that helm spot. But yes, I think you can do that. So if ever there's someone who's like really not doing a great job with the ship, you go ahead and kick them off. I'll support you. I'll back you in the vote. But yeah, I think the community overall has been very good. It's been one of the coolest games. Like I said, like you do have people who are talking, and it's a new game, so obviously people are like kind of fresh faced, and the toxicity has been minimal. You will get people who are sometimes like that, or maybe talk too much, or want to tell you their life story even though you just met them. But that's gamers for you. It's a big selection of people, and thus there are some losses there as well as the wins when you meet someone cool. So I think it's been overall, I've had a great experience with it. I haven't had too much trouble with, communicating, or at least, even if I'm the only one on mic, I can tell that I'm being listened to, like, hey, let's go to that. Can someone get that ice asteroid out there? And usually someone's on it. So that's been definitely a positive experience. And it is a new game. It's only been out, 2 weeks now. So it kind of makes sense that people are, more open. I'm worried that once the sweats take on, because this is a game that you could be really sweaty at. I'm worried that once they do that, this is going to be a different experience. But as of now, there isn't that sort of, this is the way we do it. This is the meta. Why aren't you playing this character? Blah, 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 blah. At this point.
Which I'm glad for.
Yeah.
You can't even see the loadouts of teammates, which I like, unless, they're holding the weapon in their hand or showing the character, but you can't really see the abilities that they chose or the gadgets. So people can't be that critical.
That's true.
Which is good.
Yeah, it is good. And I do think that kind of does maybe one of the problems I'm having with the game. This kind of leads into it, which is there's a definite divergence between the top of the skill and the bottom of the skill, because they had 2 open betas. And so some people have been playing this game for months, right? And, so every once in a while, you'll roll up into a fight and be like, we got this. And you'll die in 2 seconds because that crew is just on top of it because they've been playing this game for so long. They don't have any MMR at all, which is old school. It's refreshing. It's nostalgic to go back to a game that doesn't, put you into different lobbies. But it also can lead to some frustration if you're like a middling player and all your gunners are crap, or your pilot is crap and he won't give up the seat, or your boarder just isn't accomplishing anything and just will keep doing that. That can be frustrating, particularly when there's maybe an enemy team that has their, is a 4-man squad who's all in Discord talking to each other. And, they're just going to come in like a well-oiled machine and start, messing you up. So that divergence of skill has definitely been at points problematic. But for me, and I don't know how other people interpret stuff like that, sometimes I'm like, well, what can you do? Right? Like, that guy earned that win because he's played this game way more than I ever could, right? He's found the time for it, and I don't have that time. So, that all for him, right? That's where he's dedicating, parts of his life. So he deserves I think like that skill level is the reward for putting that time in. So ultimately, when someone who's really good comes in and decimates us, I'm like, yeah, what can you do? Right? That's not what I'm here to play it for, but that's what that person's here to play it for. I know you've been having similar thoughts on the MMR as far as like there being a limited, it not being very, what's the word? Not there being none to speak of. Rather, I know you've been having a kind of similar thoughts. I think a lot of people in the community have been sharing that sentiment. It's early days.
Yeah, you can land in a lobby with a level 50 and a level 10. And it's just not very consistent the lobbies that you land in. And I can imagine it's the same for the teams that you go up against with. Like, you can have matches that you just fucking blowing the lobby apart, winning because you're playing against new people. Or you're getting your shit pushed in because you're playing with people who's been playing this since the game started.
Yeah, and haven't put it down, literally not
exactly.
sleeping. It is interesting because, you're going into matches with people who maybe aren't at your level or are above your level, right? And this could be, we don't have any toxicity yet, but that could be like a linchpin that sort of leads to that for sure with this game. Because I feel like I've played this game for, maybe 2 weekends now, and I feel like I'm in it for the long haul. I'm at least going to check in every now and again as far as what's going on. So I'm worried for the future of people who know what they're doing and are increasingly frustrated with people who do not know what they're doing. And, that could lead to a lot more of that toxic problem that we see in a lot of games. Right. But as of yet hasn't happened. So if you're going to get into the game, I'd get in now, so that you can kind of get that early game experience. It's always one of the best, is to kind of start a game fresh.
It is the most fun playing when the game is new. When, there isn't a meta, there isn't an optimum way to play. It's still being built. The community is still being built. I mean,
well, talking about sort of getting into the game, we should talk about the pricing model, because it is definitely different It's not your typical pricing model. So they have a base price of $30. So you pay $30, which is what, half a AAA game price, which is
it's less than half. People you have to pay like $70 for AAA these days. I feel like
right. Yeah, $80 for Mario Kart. Did you hear about that? I'm like, oh my god. Dude.
Oh yeah, and the Donkey Kong game too, I think.
Yes, yeah. So and I anyways, we could get into that another time, but that is Nintendo's always frustrating.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah. But yes, this game is it's hitting that sort of that Helldivers sort of area where it's cheaper than the standard price, and you get into it and you're going to have just as much fun, if not more fun, with these high budget AAA titles. Which is, it feels like a great resurgence for gaming to see these sort of smaller titles with low entry fees, come into that. And I do appreciate that they did put a price up front, because, I wouldn't want to have the entire thing be built on skins and models. I think, having that $30 price tag gives them a bit of breathing room in that. A big problem in games like Overwatch or Apex is that their entire pricing model is based off of cosmetics. So they're constantly pushing cosmetics on you, and you can buy cosmetics in this game, but they don't need to put as much weight on that, right? Which I think saves a lot more room for developing the game into something cool and, attracting new players that way, because there's an incentive to get someone to try this game versus, other games where the incentive is to get them to play long enough where they get addicted and then spend a lot of money on skins, right? Which doesn't feel as healthy of a pricing model. It works, and I think Star Citizen should definitely incorporate some level of cosmetics rather than selling these ships outright. But
yeah,
for this game, being kind of this smaller project, smaller team who are really focused on making a good game, and you can really see that when you hear the devs talk. And Star Citizen folks, we love to listen to our devs talk to us. They did do a stream recently, if you want to check out the Wildgate channel, where they talked about the game, and the people on there, I've filled me with a lot of trust. I've been backing Star Citizen for a while. I've seen good devs, I've seen bad devs, and these definitely seem like some of the good ones who really understand what they're making. So that also, once again, another aspect that makes me want to continue to support this project. I don't know if you've probably not listened to that stream, have you, Bits? But I'll send it to you after this if you wanna take a listen, if you got a free hour.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll listen to the work tomorrow.
Ooh, perfect.
And then I can regale the patients at the hospital about video games.
Oh, I'm sure they'd love that. They're literally a hostage audience. You just like talk.
Yeah, they can't move.
They can't move. What are they gonna do? They have to listen to me.
Have you heard about the new amazing game called Wildgate? Here, have a free coupon.
Yeah, but Wildgate should hire you to be their boots on the ground, selling it to to your fellow Swedes.
Selling it to demented patients that doesn't really understand what I'm saying at the beginning with, but
hey,
they still buy the game.
If they have fun, who cares, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a win-win for everyone involved. So another, I think, kind of talking about that pricing model thing. The cosmetics are kind of bunk. There's only a couple good ones. A lot of them are just color skins and that kind of thing. And then they do voice lines, they do sprays. They also have these fireworks, which are pretty cool. And then skins for your ship and the different gadgets that are on your ship. But most of those skins have been relatively lackluster. There's a couple cool ones at the end of the trees. But it makes sense that they don't have a lot of cosmetics. They're a small team and they just released the game. But it definitely feels like that's a weak point for the game. I looked in the shop.
But most of the cosmetics in the game so far you get for free.
Yes,
just as long as you do the what do you call them? The reward lines. You can choose a
right, yeah. So
kind of like a quest line or thing where you just put in an experience, you unlock skins and
to kind of
emotes and such.
To kind of speak on that, because that is something we should probably hit. So the progression in the game, you start off with a basic kit, and to unlock the other weapons and characters, you work through these reward trees that you can do, and each one is themed after a specific character. So obviously, if you want, let's say Ion, who's like this four-armed freak who goes around busting up ships, if you want him, you start on his reward tree, and the first level is you're going to unlock that character, and then you're going to get weapons that are potentially related to him or a ship that he might be good with, right? And then if you work your way through that tree and you get to the end, there's a like a custom skin, which looks really nice. It's like themed. Each one has that theme skin at the end of the tree. But it's a long progression. We've been playing for many hours, and I don't think either of us are anywhere near the end of one of those trees. Are you, Bits?
Yeah.
Oh, you made it?
I unlocked one yesterday.
Oh, nice.
For what's her name? Sal, the engineer.
The axolotl engineer who lives in a fishbowl mech. Yeah.
I love her. She's very fun.
She's very fun. She plays really well, and great character. I mean, all the characters I think are really, really cool, and really interesting in that regard. But I mean, you've got one. How many characters are there? I think there's 7, right? So you've got 6 more trees to work down, right? That's a lot. On top of the overall reward progression, on top of scrap crates, which are basically like a cosmetic loot crate that you find in game that gives you a free reward track that you move 1 down every single time you open one of these scrap crates. So they're certainly trying to kind of keep that progression there. But I will say it does start to feel slow, and a lot of the stuff you're not that interested in, right? Like, oh, I can make my Mark II blue. Wow, that's super cool, but there are good ones in there. So I think it's fresh, and it's a reason to progress. And ultimately, I think when you're playing a game and you really like it, and particularly like a competitive game like this where you just want to requeue, you don't need much to keep you in, just as long as there's a progress bar that you're following. So the fact that they hit that for multiple elements is definitely good. But I would like to see some better and more creative skins come out soon. I'd like to see that kind of thing, but that's nitpicking, because ultimately I'm going to keep playing this game regardless if there's customization options that I can buy.
Imagine if they do like Fortnite, where you can play as like Leonardo DiCaprio in space, or Ariana Grande.
Oh God,
that would be fun. I'd buy that. I'd buy that.
You buy like an Ariana Grande skin in space?
Why not? I can distract them with my buttocks.
You could. I wonder if they could. We'll see what they do. I want to see their kind of creativity get flowing. See some more POIs and that kind of thing. I mean, ultimately, I think we've hit a lot here, and sort of as a final note, I'm excited to see where they take this game. I think this dev team has done an amazing job building a super polished experience that from the first day you play is really exciting. And I'm excited to see how they expand on that, whether that's new ships, new characters, new points of interest. The base game, the one game mode that they have, which is this artifact grab game mode, is so solid that I could play it for a very long time, particularly if they add a few things to keep it fresh, maybe a new map, right? Like, oh, the space is now purple instead of blue, right? Like even something as simple as that with some unique POIs mixed in there, I think would be something I'd keep eyes on. What do you think, Bits, is sort of your final notes? How do you feel about the game? Where are you? Do you feel like you're going to keep playing, that kind of thing?
Where I am, I'm in Sweden, but I feel like I am looking forward to what the game can become. I'm very curious how they're gonna let it be with the characters in the future. If they're gonna make it the way that Overwatch did for a bit, where you had to pay to unlock the newer characters, Mm-hmm. I think that they pulled back on that Overwatch, but I hope for the love of God this game doesn't do that. That you just get a unlock track to unlock the new characters, like you have in the game right now.
Yeah,
because that I really like.
I and just to kind of piggyback on that, that's what I think the $30 price tag ensures, right? Is the hope that you get the base game content as a starter, because you're paying for the game up front. And I feel like I said, I've listened to this dev team talk, and they seem very resistant to the over marketing that Overwatch went through, and kind of like really stretching that thin, and really focusing on those skins and, forcing you to pay money to unlock a character early. I am hoping that this dev team doesn't start to see, doesn't get too greedy and continues to kind of hold to their foundation, which is like, making a good game for people who like games and who appreciate the kind of game that they're making, and then, letting that be the driving force, right? Because I think ultimately a game's going to make a ton of money if people love the game, and you can continue to bleed an audience dry, but that's not going to last forever. If you want a game to have that, several year lifespan to continue to develop and continue to grow, I think that base product's got to be really solid, and it has to be continuously worked on. And I think, I'd love to see more as far as expanding the game rather than cosmetics, because that might convince me to buy what little is there, or, bring friends into the game who are going to pay for it. Right. And, give them money that way. So it feels like a much healthier, place where they are, at least at this early stage in their development.
Yeah. If they're keeping track of how much money I've earned them approximately $90 because I first bought the game myself, and then I convinced you and our friend Aiton to buy the game.
That's right.
So I'm a sponsor of the game. You can.
Yeah, at that point they should give you like a discount code, like a commission on your discount code.
Just put in bits in the store and get a free skin.
Put in Wild Bits in store and get 10% off your order.
Exactly.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. It's great to be back and doing podcast episodes. I hope you enjoyed this. If you didn't, leave a comment. Tell me what you didn't like about this one. If you loved it, I'd also love to hear that. In fact, I'd love to hear that more potentially. But other than that, as I said, we're on Apple and Spotify now. So if you want to rate and review this podcast or subscribe on those platforms, that would be very helpful to us. 5-star ratings are the lifeblood of all podcasts. So I appreciate you guys stopping in here. I'm loving being back. I'm happy that I was able to convince Mr. Bits to join me here today. Thank you for joining me, by the way, Bits.
You're welcome. I'll be expecting my payment soon.
Okay, yeah, I'll wire that to you, no problem. I'll pay you
awesome.
in Cruise Lux. How's that sound?
Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, cool. All right, I got plenty of that to do. And with that, we will catch you guys on the Flip Flop in the next episode of the Flip and Burn podcast.